We made it, North America. After 5 weeks of intense play and a week of craziness, we are finally ready to get into the playoffs. With the length of the Overwatch League offseason, Contenders has provided us with a means to scratch that itch for high-quality Overwatch, and it's even easy for new fans to get involved in this region since so many teams are attached to Overwatch League teams. 8 teams remain to fight for the title, but first, let's have a quick obituary for the teams that we lost.
Defeat.
Oh, Gladiators Legion. Honestly, I think you guys were just the odd ones out in a group that had 5 playoff contenders. You sure did keep us on our toes, though. All 3 of your first 3 games were decided by 1 map. Just a little bit better fortunes, and you would be there. I think the one thing I can say about this team is that I don't feel like they improved much over the season. They were alright, but when teams like Energy and Envy started to show some improvements, I just didn't see the same thing from Gladiators Legion. The door isn't shut on this team just yet, but I think they have a lot of thinking to do to make sure they don't get left in the dust.
Defeat.
Gather around, children, and allow me to tell you a story about Mayhem Academy, a team full of false hope. Once upon a time, there was a team called Mayhem Academy. Last season of Overwatch Contenders, Mayhem Academy barely scraped by and avoided relegation. But their changes over the off-season had made them confident. Too confident, in fact. They were so confident that they decided to defy the defining team composition of this meta. "We can get by without having to play goats," they said. "We have a star tank line and great talent across the board." They tried to play God with the meta, and like all who defied the supreme goats, they were crushed. For goats rules all. Except Point A of Route 66, that's like the shadowy place in The Lion King. Goats doesn't go there. Anyways, by the time Mayhem Academy realized their mistake, the hole they had dug themselves was already too deep. Perhaps, if they had sided with goats from the start, things would have been different.
Defeat.
Gosh, what is there to say about Team Kungarna? They were the stereotypical, barely got through trials team. They showed some potential and were able to take a few maps, but in the end, they were just outclassed by the rest of their group. I still think you should keep an eye on these players, though. There's a lot of potential here, and I'm interested to see if they break out in the next year. Wub, Duplicate, Moore, and Insomniac are all teams that we should be keeping an eye on. And that's just off the top of my head. I'm also interested to see how the team does after separating itself from the Kungarna brand, becoming Phase 2 once again. If they end up doing better, well, you can draw your own conclusions. I just think this is a team to watch.
Defeat.
Sky Foxes. What a joke. I had you rated highly to start off the season, but I refuse to take credit for the jinx here. I was so excited about your players that I was looking through the rose-tinted glasses and I couldn't see the red flags. I mean, I would say that you rivaled the Dragons in other futility, but honestly, I don't think that's fair to the Dragons. At least the Dragons won maps. At least the Dragons seemed like they were legitimately trying until the bitter end. Halfway through the season, you guys seemed like you just decided to roll over and die. You were just waiting for it to be over. And this isn't just me, everybody noticed.
With how this is working out, maybe there's a lack of communication.
I mean, this just reminds me of like a 3 a.m. ranked game where no one's on voice and no one's even saying anything. Might have good players, but probably not getting good results.
In a meta where teamwork and synergy reign supreme, you never let a team develop that synergy. You axed the team that got you second place in Contenders Trials because Overwatch League players equals win. And when that didn't work, you changed your strategy to Korean players equals win. No, Sky Foxes, synergy equals win right now, not individual talent, and you never let a team develop that. I honestly think that if you had stuck with a team that got you second place in Trials, you'd be in a lot better of a position. Man, I really needed to get that off my chest. Anyways, now let's take a look at the teams still alive and competing for playoff glory. I think it's safe to say that Uprising Academy went through a lot leading up to this season, so being able to come out of it as a playoff qualifier really says a lot about this team's potential. And boy do they have potential. It all starts at the top, with IOStux as head coach, as the former XL2 Academy coach has tons of experience and is a premier coach in the Tier 2 scene. He's also active on Reddit, which is a nice touch. However, one of the funnest things about this team is their willingness to pull from all sorts of regions to get their talent. They have the main tank Fusions from the UK, the off-tank Punk from Australia, and the star-studded DPS duo of Asking from France and Claus from Argentina. This is all backed with a support duo that has veteran presence in Dino and New Blood and Swimmer. This has caused some issues with ping, but this team's willingness to take chances on other regions just like their main team is, makes them fun to root for. Even with that though, Uprising Academy have been one of the most frustrating teams in this region, as it feels like 2/3 of their pushes are confused, they overult and underult, etc. But when this team makes it works so well, and they look like the best team in the league. Uprising Academy has a tough test to start with XL2, but if they can put everything together at the right time, I can see them pulling off a Spitfire-like run to the title. In any case, this is a team to watch next season. Team Envy is in a fairly similar boat. There was a lot of hype around this team as well, due to their acquisitions, namely the Australian main tank Trill and the GGEA DPS duo Sharp and Fisher. They got off to a slow start, and a lot of people counted them out, but they managed to win 8 maps in a row to end the season and squeak into the playoffs at literally the last second. However, no team wants to go up against a red-hot team on the rise. At the beginning of the season, many people thought this team was better than the Team Envy squad that was a semi-finalist last season. If they continue to trend upwards, who knows what these guys can accomplish. First Generation is the first of our independent teams to turn heads this season, coming away with a respectable 3-2 record to make the playoffs, and a better map differential than L&L last season. I've said this about First Generation from the beginning, but a lot of the players on this team have been hanging around the scene for years, and unlike some other teams, they've mostly kept the same roster from Trials into Contenders, and it's paid off. At times, Nomi has looked like one of the best Reinhardts in the region, and is proving his worth at a tier 2 level at least. I should also shout out the Zarya play of Zapre and the Zen play of Robdab, 2 players who have been around in the scene since pretty much the very beginning, as well as the Lucio and Shock Calling of Tensa, the only OG GOATS member still on this restructured and rebranded roster. In this community, I feel like most think that the prime for a professional player is only a year or so, and once you've lost your shot at the top, it's really hard, if not impossible, to work your way back. First Gen is a team working to try to defy that belief, and I can't wait to see where it gets them. NRG. Man, did I underrate this team. While NRG has been wildly inconsistent throughout their season, they have shown enough potential to straight up spawn camp second win on Route 66, though second win may have been going through a few things, more on that later. I've seen an incredible amount of growth in NRG as a team over the season. When I think of NRG, I think of the tank duo of Stand 1 and Smex, as well as the Zenyatta play of Byram. While Smex has been solid as always for this team, Stand 1 and Byram have both grown so much this season. Stand 1 has fought hard against some of the best Rhines in this region, and Byram, especially against second win last week, was just fragging out and was very good at knowing when to use his transes. I think you should watch out for these guys. Unfortunately, even with that, a lot of NRG's season has been based around which NRG shows up. Will it be the NRG that beat second win and took Fusion University to 5 maps? Or will it be the team that gave a map to Kongarna and 2 to Mayhem Academy? If the right NRG shows up to the playoffs, they could go really far. What happened to Atlanta Academy? After going 4 matches in a row looking like the team to beat, they end up getting 4-0'd by Fusion University, killing their momentum and putting their status as a true title contender at risk. Even so, it's been great to watch how much the last night's leftovers core has improved with the support of an academy team. The 14-year-old phenom Sugarfree and one of the most experienced support duos in the league, Dogman and Ajax, have all been on point, but their acquisitions have also been huge. Saucy has had a quick run through the path to pro, and is really impressed with his Zarya this season. Then we have probably the biggest pickups for this team, their tank line. Gator, who some consider to be the king, the father of GOATS, has finally broken through the contenders, and it is shown why he is on the reign as a two-way player. Meanwhile, Hawk has been one of the most pleasant surprises of this season, coming in from Phase 2 to channel his inner Poco and just generally be what most consider to be one of the best off-tanks of the region. While this team still has a lot to prove after a Week 5 loss to the defending champs, there's still no reason to count these guys out just yet. Honestly, I'm not quite sure what to think of these guys anymore. Second Wind came into the league with many players making Tier 2 debuts. A lot of people counted them out, but they went on to defeat their first 4 of 5 opponents. Fried has been an incredibly impressive off-tank for the team, Frail and Mirror are a solid DPS duo as any, but I think the most impressive part of this team has been Karkar. On top of being credited for a lot of the team's in-game shot calling, Karkar has been fragging out on Lucio and generally causing havoc. Unfortunately, you can't be successful for too long on an independent team before teams with more money come knocking. Which is great, this is the point, but Second Wind took their first hit recently when Karkar left the team and has since found a home on Fusion University. Which is amazing for him and I'm super happy, but in their last game against NRG, Second Wind didn't look quite themselves. A 1-3 loss put a lot of question marks on this team moving forward, and honestly, I don't feel like I can move on without addressing the Ellie situation. Okay, it's hard to not know what the Ellie situation is at this point, but I'll provide a short summary just in case. Shortly after Karkar left the team, Second Wind announced the signing of a player named Ellie. Ellie had recently hit the number 4 spot on the ladder, which obviously turned heads, and just like that, Ellie was set to be the first ever female player in NA Contenders. However, there were just a few things that didn't add up, most of it coming down to the fact that Ellie just appeared one day out of nowhere. Ellie's Twitter post about hitting number 4 on the ladder is the first Twitter post she's ever made. Her Twitch account that she streamed from is pretty brand new as well. Most pro players and streamers can't recall ever seeing or playing with an account named Ellie until very recently. Had she just literally come out of nowhere, or was there something else going on? While most were supportive of Second Wind and Ellie, some questioned her true identity. Some were a bit more aggressive than others. This was all punctuated with these screenshots of a player named Haunt casually talking about doxing Ellie once her real name got released. Which, by the way, I've heard Haunt has a history of being a complete jerk, and I have not once seen anyone defend him for this. Doxing is never okay. Anyways, after a while, Second Wind announced that Ellie had decided to leave the team over community reactions, which really got people talking. Namely, news site after news site ran away with this story. Sexist community bullies female gamer until she quits! They ate that stuff up. However, a day or so later, Aspen dropped a bombshell on her stream.
Right, there's so much talk around this Ellie person, right? Ellie is not Ellie. Ellie is actually Punisher, and he told me yesterday. The whole situation was meant to be, in a way, like a social experiment.
Ellie never existed. There was a girl talking in the streams, but this girl was not the one playing. The person responsible for Ellie is someone named Punisher, who is a male top 500 player. Since this has happened, more and more information has come out thanks to Slasher, who has got in touch with several females who had been in contact with Punisher, saying he's been doing this kind of thing for a long time. He's gotten several girls to voice for him, and just being a general creep. I'm honestly not even sure if this is a social experiment anymore. Like, it might have just been a weird thing that Punisher did because he liked catfishing an entire community and it gave him an adrenaline rush or something. While there are a lot of things that are still fuzzy about the situation and a lot of things that we still won't know, it is now certain through a Blizzard statement that Ellie is a fake. So, I've gotten the question a few times. What's my opinion on the Ellie situation? And I think it's time to tell you. The Ellie situation is stupid and had no reason to exist. Now, at the beginning, I thought Punisher was actually trying to be kind of noble and make a statement about how women are treated within this community, which is fine, but it honestly doesn't prove much that we didn't already know, and you could achieve the same effect by asking women within the community. They have stories, they know. We didn't need the social experiment to learn, oh my gosh guys, sexists exist! How crazy is that? However, as time went on, it looks more and more likely that Punisher was really trying to say, the only reason I'm not on a Contenders team is because I'm male. Which, look, Second Wind even said that hitting number 4 on the ladder was the main reason they picked you up, not because you were quote-unquote female. And it's not even proven that you got that account to number 4, so honestly, you haven't proven anything, and now everyone is in a bad spot. The one thing I will give this whole situation is the fact that it has opened up a conversation about how females are treated within this community, and how media outlets run away with clickbait stories without waiting for all the information to be revealed. However, the situation has done way more harm than good. First of all, Punisher, good luck ever finding a team at this point. I hope you enjoyed your 15 minutes of fame, because everyone is going to forget about you in a month and you will never have any sort of respect in this community again. Any females who are actually trying to make it big in this community are just going to be hit with "duh Ellie" comments for probably their entire careers. Blizzard has taken a huge hit in credibility, which sucks for a company trying to get a mainstream audience interested in its league, and Second Wind has to deal with allegedly getting lied to, and all the people, rightfully, calling them out for not doing their due diligence before announcing a new player. Oh yeah, and you lost your main shot caller. Good luck in the playoffs. After an entire season of looking vulnerable and people doubting their ability to stay on top, a 4-0 versus Atlanta to end the season has Fusion University back on top, and are once again the favorites to win it all. Basically, the Fusion already had a star-studded roster, and it has only gotten better. The almost undisputed best support duo in the region, Elk and Alarm, are still here and they're still kicking butt. Changsik has settled in on main tank and looks like he could take on anybody, especially with a great off-take like Bernard by his side. Finally, the DPS duo of Snillo and Nice has had a few hiccups, but they've kept up with everyone else in the league. I am interested to see if Karkar will end up getting some playing time, though taking out Elk at this point would be an interesting move. In either case, many people have this team winning a 3rd season in a row, and it's not hard to see why. XL2 has been defined by one phrase in particular. Thank Mr. Logix. I'm honestly so glad Logix was able to find a team and prove himself at the tier 2 level, proving his flexibility in this meta by showing off a lethal Zarya. That's not all XL2 has though, because the core of their old team is still here. TZ was not able to play for most of the season due to high ping, so Glowman stepped in and did great. However, seeing TZ back in week 5 was so fun, and it was even more fun to see him popping off against Gladiator's Legion. However, XL2 was in good hands with either main tank, which is a lot of power for a team to have. As far as the rest of this team, Mangachu and Goliath have been solid as always, and I think Jura stepped up admirably in the place of Adam. This is a team with a lot to prove after getting rolled in the finals last season, and despite a small hiccup at the hands of Second Wind, they look as ready as they'll ever be to take home the trophy. Well, here we are again. The prediction section of these videos where I'll inevitably be about as far off as possible and feel bad for jinxing people. Let's do it! In my mind, the 3 biggest contenders for the throne are Fusion University, XL2, and Atlanta Academy. Unfortunately, XL2 and Atlanta are on the same side of the bracket, so while it's possible for any of the other 3 teams to pull off a miracle run, I think I'll go with the 85% chance that Fusion gets to the finals. On the other side, it's likely XL2 versus Atlanta in the semis. I'm gonna say Atlanta Academy finds a surge of energy to beat XL2 and rides it all the way to the trophy. This team has potential, and we've seen it, and a win for them would be great for their parent team's morale going to Overwatch League, and it would raise the value of independent teams as a whole, with 4 North American Overwatch League teams still without an academy. Why not choose Fusion University because they 4-0'd Atlanta and look better across the board? Because I don't want Fusion University to win for a 3rd season. That would be boring. Now watch Fusion roll XL2 in the finals just like last season. And that'll do it. How are you feeling about the upcoming Contenders North American playoffs? You think I'm missing something? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video and want to see more, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I try and make competitive Overwatch content at least once a week. Until next time though, that's all from me. Don't get tilted.